Hey guys, this video is going to work you through some of the documentation of the train part. So I'm going to start with the smokestack, and I'll show you here is what we're going to shoot for. I do have a little redundancy in some of the dimensions that I've given, but it's really so that you guys can see different options and ways to do things and just present views that make sense and help the reader understand the part. So we've got I brought on the side view as like my best front view, the profile, a top view, and the isometric. And then we'll create our section views. So we're going to create a full section, and then we're going to create a half section. But this half section, I didn't want the half that's not sectioned to be visible. So I manipulated my section cutting plane in a way that I wouldn't see it. So we're going to go through that. Okay, so here we go. So once you've got your views, I'm going to use the section tool here, click on it, and notice down below Inventor says select a view or view sketch. So the first click is not precise, it's just choosing what view are we going to be slicing. I'll do my full section first from here. So I'm going to choose this view. Now the very next click needs to be a precise click. Okay, this is where I'm going to start creating my slicing plane. And I want it to be lined up with the middle. So I'm not going to click, but I'm going to hover and look for a midpoint right here. And I'm going to come vertical from it, come above. I'm going to click once, come straight down, click a second time. And then as I pull away, I'll see that Inventor would allow me to keep kind of moving my slicing plane around. But I just want a single slice. So right click and say continue. And then I can now move my part right or left. And I'm going to go ahead and put it over here. And this is my full section view. Okay. The next view is going to be a half section view. Choose section, and I'm going to do it from the top. So I'm going to select the view. And then I'm again hovering. I'm looking for the center of the part right there. Because once you find it, as you pull away from it, Inventor will give you that dotted line to ensure that you're aligned to it. So I'm going to be right here. I'm going to click. I don't want to go right on the edge either. You want to come away from the part just a little bit before you start. So this is going to be my first click. Click 1. And then I'm going to go right to the middle. Click 2. Now in the PowerPoint that we had in class, they would have come this way. But I'm not going to do that. If I were to click right here and make that my cutting plane, my section view that I would create, okay, would only remove this little quarter part right here, but the top would stay, and I'd be able to see that. But I actually wanted to make that part invisible. I'd only wanted to see what I was going to section. So I went in this direction, and then I turned up vertical. And now it really matters which direction I pull the arrows from. Okay, let me move that out of the way. If I go to the left, so I'm looking back, then only the things that are behind the arrows on that slide are removed. So in that case, I'm only removing a quarter of the part. So I would see half the part sectioned and half of it not. If I go the other direction though, again, what's behind the arrows, behind the line, kind of behind the arrow side, gets removed. So 3/4 of my part gets removed, and I'm only left with a half section view, and I'm only seeing the section part. So that's what I did. The reason why I did that is I'm really wanting to dimension these interior features, and it's nice not to have the other part of the view in the way of where I might want to put my dimension lines. Okay, so that's how I created the views. I'm going to go back and show you the smokestack. And there's not much that's special here in terms of hard to do. I used my standard dimensioning lines on everything, so even like these diameters, except for this. This smokestack has basically got it's like a hole that's been drilled out, the top and then down through the bottom. This is wider at the top, it's a larger diameter hole, and then a skinnier hole. And so they're concentric. This is like a counterbore. Okay, so we've got that profile where it looks like a T. So I just used my hole and thread notes under the annotate tab. I used the hole and thread notes on this circle because that is really this edge. And so in one dimension, I got the diameter of both the larger top area and the deeper, skinnier area. So you notice I've got a diameter of 0.375 and a diameter of 0.875. So this is the counter bore diameter and its depth, and then it's not a through hole, but the deeper part of the hole, its diameter and its depth. Okay, so that's pretty nice. And so there's a little redundancy here and here, but I would ask that you guys just go ahead and kind of use the picture right now that's on your screen and try to make the dimensions match what I have. Okay, great. Now, if you've got that done, we've got several other pieces we can do. So in this video on top of the smokestack, I think you're probably in really good shape to try to tackle like the hitch magnet and peg. This would be a really easy one to do. So I'll just kind of pause and talk on the screen for a minute. You could pause here, and I think you could go create the same views and add the dimensions. The only thing that I'm seeing on this sheet that I haven't used yet is in my dimensioning and kind of my notes. I didn't use the regular dimension tool. If you zoom in, this peg had a little chamfered edge on the edge, and there is actually a chamfer note tool. And so I can recreate that one real quick and show you how you click through it. Otherwise, I used my standard dimensioning and my section view can follow the pattern I sliced, etc. Okay? So I use the chamfer tool, and notice it says select chamfer edge. So that's the angled edge. Then it's going to say select a reference edge. You want to choose one of these other edges here. Okay, so I think I chose the bottom. And then you'll pull away. And it shows you the chamfer size and the angle. Basically, if you were to extend these two perpendicular edges till they met in a quarter, that distance, that 0.01 distance, is how far back we went from that would-be corner before we started slicing. Okay, so I see that in there. I see my view labels maybe turned on. If you're not sure how to do that, just like when we shade it, you right-click here and edit view to shade. Okay, you can turn the shading on and off. I can turn the light bulb on or off, and that turns my view label on. So I went ahead and labeled the part, named the part, and that label and the scale will show up when you click the light bulb. Okay, so again, I think from that, if we just kind of pause here, you'll be able to go through and recreate that with what we've done so far. All right, the axial peg is another one, I think. Again, we can pause here and give this a shot to recreate. Okay, I did use the hole and thread notes on the outside of this axial peg to note the threads. I can see that it's threaded. So this is my front view, was like a side view, the top view, and then an isometric to create that view. And you can follow my dimensioning that I did. Again, I did the chamfer tool, I did the hole and thread notes. I'm thinking that I'm actually missing a dimension that I'll add right now. It looks like I'm missing the depth of, this is like a hex head, so for like an Allen wrench. And right here in the section view, I'm able to see the depth, but I didn't dimension that, did I? So I need to do that. So I'm going to dimension. I'm going to grab this corner so my extension line still has that gap, but I'll go from here to this corner, and then I'm going to bring that over because it looks like that is missing. And I'll tuck that in right there. Otherwise, I think I've got everything. Okay, so there's that part. The linkage arm and peg, that'll be the last one I'll go to for this video. Got to turn the dimensioning tool off to transfer. And again, this one is pretty straightforward. If you just look at what I've got on the screen, I think you can recreate this one. Okay, I'm going to make a separate video for the last one. It will be the hardest one, the cow catcher. The cow catcher we'll talk about in that video.